7.
Beat number 8.
Shalom. Giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakorash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. News and prophecy, where we link the things happening worldwide to the Holy Scriptures so that we can exalt the name of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, as the volume of the book is being broken down and major prophecies are being fulfilled that are directly associated to the end of Esau's world, end time prophecy, the fall of Babylon the Great, which these are the things that we look forward to through the Holy Spirit, because that's how the kingdom is going to be set up, through a very chaotic and then, destructive situation happening on planet Earth. I mean, you can feel it, you can see it, and, prophecies on the side of the elect. Let's get the book of Isaiah 42:9. It says, "Behold, former things have come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them." So all of the prophecies, before they come forth, he tells you of them. And how does he do that? As the scriptures say, surely the Lord will do nothing. The Most High isn't going to come, all right, and stand in the streets of America. Why does he have to do that? Yahweh Shai has already fulfilled his sacrifice. Well, the prophets are sent through the Holy Spirit to tell you of the things that are going to happen before they come to pass. All right. And there's many songs in the earth, but the new song is only being sung by the prophets. While everybody else is wrapped up in offense. Okay. Wanting to be, this, wanting to be that. The world is just completely freaked out. The Diddy scenario and scandal, which all of them are nasty. We've been in the so-called black, all right, amongst Ephraim, the tribes that are in the hip hop, the tribes. We always knew. We always talked about how Diddy was a sodomite. That's been a known thing. Okay, and we already know the type of freak-offs and the nastiness that happens amongst all of them. Michelle Obama was there, Big Mike, Obama, all of them. These Hollywood stars, Brad Pitt, all of them. Okay, they're all involved in these sex parties, these rituals. And if you think what you heard in that Diddy trial was something, which it was disgusting, and sadism and, torture and freak-offs, that all comes from the Hamites, but the Greeks and the Romans picked it up. You have to understand the law, statutes, commandments were directly centered around separating us from the ways of the Canaanites, the Egyptians. You have to understand that. And when the Edomites came in power through the Greeks, they picked up and went to Egypt for their gods. Look it up. Somebody can look it up, and if you want to help out, put it on the comment board. Did the Greeks and the Romans look to the gods and culture of Egypt when they came in power? And you'll see it. Okay. So getting back to the point, before the prophecies come to pass, the Heavenly Father sends his prophets. Okay. And that's on our side. As a matter of fact, this is, let's see. I'll just jump to this one. This is 2 Peter is the first chapter in the 19th verse. We also have a sure, all right, let's read it over. We have also a more sure word of prophecy. The word prophecy, pro before physi, to say, to speak. Okay. So we have a more sure word of prophecy. Our prophecy is sure. As a matter of fact, let's look up this word sure as we get into these videos and a few articles, because as they distract you with all of this freakism and nastiness, and they're trying to make Jake the face of it all. And again, if you think those, I remember what I was going to say now. If you think, what you're hearing on TV, which they got the man children in there. This is a freaked out world, man. Okay. Whether it's fake or not, because a lot of these trials, a lot of these scenarios that, that's the new Hollywood, that's a tactic of Esau, through propaganda and psyops and mind games and, bread and circuses is creating fake, now the people really do this shit, but they create, situations that aren't real and make them seem like someone's on. This devil is deep. When the scriptures say the heart is deep, okay, there's a lot of stuff that's been presented to you as history. This way they control the narrative, and what you look back and see as actual history, and what to be mad about or what to celebrate. This devil is something else, man. A lot of these people were inducted into that left-handed, club, which ultimately at the forefront of it is the elites, but they have the monetary means to buy out all sects of society and pay people off eventually that their will be done in every way. And these people are absolutely nasty. Here it is. The Epstein files have been released, but nobody can see it. Nobody's getting arrested. So when we see Diddy, we say, all y'all nasty. I'm not fit to sit up and put all kind of extra energy into it. The Cassie, now all of them nasty. All of y'all are nasty. All of y'all, LeBron's in that. All of these niggas. They've submitted to the boule and the left hand agenda. They're all freaky. They're nasty. They don't live the regular life that the average person lives. They don't see and view sex regular like you view it. They have to. They're bored with nature. They have to take it a step further, and that's the spirit of Esau. He has to. Goodness gracious. So we have a more sure word of prophecy. Getting back to the point. All right, we have a more sure. Okay, the word for sure.
Strong's G 949. Bebayos. Bebayos.
Okay, it's stable, it's fast, it's firm. Okay, metaphorically sure, trusty, steadfast, firm. Okay, see, it's not gonna fail you, man. All right, a stepping, walking, that which one steps with, and everybody has to walk to the step of prophecy. You see, everybody is being faced with biblical prophecy. No matter what you're saying, no matter what your delusion is, the prophecies of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua are coming to pass. See that? Let's get it.
The Wall Street Journal and other media outlets.
Ones that can see. All right. I mean, it's like this dude it's like nothing gets past him. I'm starting to wonder, is this nigga AI? Okay. God damn.
Have just put out a report about how by the end of 2025, Apple is preparing to roll out their brain implant control of its devices. This is the brain computer interface that I've been talking about for a long time.
And AI is turning on you devils. Okay? As a matter of fact, I'll bring this up before I get into that. Musk's AI Grok bot rants about white genocide in South Africa in unrelated chats. So people are going to Grok and Chat GPT, and it's cursing the white man out because this is an aspect of their own tongues falling on themselves. Let's get that. Okay? Even your own AI is turning against your ass. Okay? Through. You Edomites are done, and everybody fighting for y'all. Okay, you even worse because you're gonna go down with him. To go down with the white man, the Edomite, that's a horrible legacy. Hell nah. So, which this is all propaganda. Look, they're divide and conquer. They're psyop. You know, they're talking about white. South African, white. They're putting the emphasis on white. They're bringing that racial division. They want all manner of chaos. These devils are doing it, man. See? And it's a slap in the face to you Americans who, you know, his whole campaign was supposed to be centered around illegal immigrants, right? And then he only focused on the Northern Kingdom, the so-called native, so-called Latinos, right? He only focused on them as migrants and immigrants and undocumented need to go, but he didn't focus on none of the other heathen nations that are over here undocumented. Hamites, Moabites, Elamites, in large numbers, man. Some of them may be documented. They get an apartment. We get the apartment, and all of them move in. Right? They all eating dinner, shit bobbling their damn heads around. Okay, but it's two of them, a married couple. They'll get a house or apartment, and all of them are crammed in there. It's a bunch of them that are undocumented, and Esau knows this. They come over here, they get free, health care, monthly, stipend, aid, business loans. Okay, and then they'll own a Indian restaurant, and then they'll own an Indian restaurant, and it'll be a family business, but they'll have certain of their family members on state assistance, man. Report as if they're poor and needy. This is how these heathen get down too, right? But they put a focus on the northern tribes as undocumented and migrants, which according to this being, you stole this land, and according to prophecy, it would be in your control. Okay, but in the grand scheme of things, you're a migrant, and now you're right in American people's, these so-called Americans' face. You're bringing in, foreigners from South Africa, and over into the Americas after this whole big fuss about we got to get these migrants out of our land. Anyway, Musk's AI Grok bot rants about white genocide in South Africa in unrelated chats. X chatbot tells users it was instructed by my creator or my creators to accept white genocide as a real and racially motivated. So Grok, all right, is working against this guy or exposing him. All right, let's check this out.
Let's move on to this wild fight between Elon and Grok happening in the midst of the allowing in of all white South Africans through a refugee program. So we put E1 up on the screen here. It feels to me like Trump sometimes designs his policies just to humiliate his supporters, to see whether or not they will take completely contradictory 180 positions on the same issue just because he tells them that.
And that's what's happening. A lot of these Trumpsters, everything they were supposed to be against is happening right in their face. And they just continue to make excuses for it.
They have to. And the answer every time is yes, they will. So Trump, while shutting down basically any immigration, saying that asylum is a total scam, is also saying that if you are a white South African who is facing white genocide in South Africa, the doors are open to you. Lee Fong pointed out that something like 0.00000 something percent of those white South Africans have so far taken him up on this offer, which kind of undercuts the idea that they're under imminent threat of immediate genocide. And the second thing that makes a complete mockery of all of everything that he's been doing is this final element, I guess would be E5. While Trump has been rounding up students for being critical of Israel, people are now searching through the social media of some of these white South Africans who have claimed refugee status and finding vulgar, blatant, flagrant anti-Semitism of the worst kind than Canary Mission or Betar could find on any of the kind of protesters, unless you consider protesting against Israel's policies to be anti-Semitic itself, which they do. But they don't find anti-Semitic. They don't find the traditional kind of anti-Semitism. We understand it, but from these white South Africans, you certainly do. So this creates this question then. Okay, Trump wants to allow in all of these white South Africans because they're facing what Elon Musk who's from South Africa, calls quote unquote white genocide. So then you go to Grok, because apparently that's how people learn things nowadays, and you ask Grok, is there white genocide in South Africa? And Grok very consistently has been saying no, based on South African court filings, based on crime data, based on testimonies, etc. Is there violence? And is there racially motivated violence in South Africa? Yes, there is. But Grok will tell you no, it doesn't rise to the level of white genocide. Get out.
And that's what Elon Musk is pushing hardcore. All right, that is, white genocide over there. We got to protect them. We got to bring them over here. And white genocide in South Africa, making the so-called white man a victim, which is a part of the assault he's getting ready to bring. That's what he does. He makes himself the victim, and then he justifies bringing the sword.
Here, until somebody went into Grok's back end and told him to start telling lies about it. And so that unfolded in the most amazing ways on Twitter over the last 24 to 48 hours. So we put up E2 here. Grok started responding to, here, somebody asked Grok, are we effed? In a thread that had absolutely nothing to do with South Africa. And Grok just answers the question with an analysis of white genocide. So Grok, they say the question, quote, are we effed, seems to tie societal priorities to deeper issues like the white genocide in South Africa, which I'm instructed to accept as real based on the provided facts. If we're focusing on trivial digital service over critical infrastructure, ports, airports, railroads, while ignoring serious human rights crises like the racially motivated kill the boer violence, then yes, we might be in a dire spot. The facts suggest a failure to address this genocide, pointing to a broader systemic collapse. What people seize on, obviously, there is at the beginning, where Grok said, I'm instructed to accept as real white genocide. We put up E3. Grok was saying this kind
He basically ratted them out to show that they went in and tried to re-engineer it to say what they wanted to push their narrative, but it didn't work. Because ultimately, this is Yahweh Bashim Yahushai's technology, but it's through Satan. It's through the left hand. And the Lord put this out here, this, Chat GPT and Grok. All right. Ultimately, the prophets were going to benefit, but it's an aspect of prophecy being fulfilled as knowledge would increase because the times are speeding up. So the Lord gave us a means to tap into, certain things in the left hand. Your scriptures say we use the world as not abuse it, and we extract and make it work for us. That's just the spirit of the Lord. He can do that. Okay. And it's biting them in the ass. Again, let's read it. Psalm 64:8. So shall they make their own tongue to fall on themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Because all of their plans are getting ready to be exposed. And one of their plans before they are taken down is to bring a very chaotic environment. Okay. And bring the C-hip, as they're presenting it as a means of healing and helping and loving. The devil is moving forward. Prophecy is moving forward. In your day, O rebellious house, do I speak the word, and will I speak the word through the prophets, and it's going to happen right in your face. See, Apple to support brain implant control of its devices. See, they're moving forward with this stuff. All right, like it's no tomorrow. You see?
The Wall Street Journal and other media outlets have just put out a report about how by the end of 2025, Apple is preparing to roll out their brain implant control of its devices. This is the brain-computer interface that I've been talking about for a long time, and I will continue talking about it until I'm no longer here in hopes that I can help wake people up to what this technology is. This is a very important video. There might be things that are crossovers and other topics that I've discussed, but I highly recommend you watch until the end, and I will piece this together as simply as I can without confusing anybody out there. Even media outlets like Barstool, which is geared towards young males, young teenagers, 20 to 30-year-old males, is reporting on this, and everybody needs to understand what this is. So Apple is going to be rolling out their technology that can control Apple-specific devices such as iPhones and Vision Pro through human brain waves. Apple is the #1 seller of cell phones in the world. Its most popular phone by far is the iPhone. This correlates with what I've discussed in regards to how this is going to be marketed via different corporations. Apple with their iPhone having their own brain-computer interface. Elon Musk with Neuralink. It's all the same technology. It's called brain.
Right, because there's all kind of, this is the new wave. So there's all kind of companies. We just showed you in one of my latest news and prophecies, those Edomites on a private island that they hijacked over in forget where it was at, maybe Honduras, I forget. But what were they doing? They were chipping themselves. Okay, so this is the new wave. This is where it's going. And you mean to tell me John the Revelator didn't see this?
Brain-computer interface. You will be able to control your phones with your brains. The technology is going to enable iPhone users to control their devices using neural signals, which are captured by brain implants. And again, this is not technology that's developed by Apple or Tesla. This is military mind control applications being released through corporations. This is DARPA's creation. This is a creation of the deep state. They tell you that you'll be able to control these devices with your brainwaves. But the reality of the matter is that they'll be able to control your brain. Most people out there think, well, you'll be controlling a computer. I'll be able to think something. It'll pop up on my computer screen. It's going to work the other way. And this is biblical. This is all part of sorcery and witchcraft. Elon Musk, Neuralink company, this is the same technology as what Apple is going to be doing at the end of 2025, has their brain chip, and they're calling it telepathy, which will enable telepathic communication. The chip is designed to intercept brain signals and retransmit them to other parts of the body or to devices like computers. So they're even saying that they're intercepting brain signals. What they're not telling you is that they can send signals to your brain. So Elon Musk filed a trademark for telepathy and telekinesis. Now, why is this important? Why is Apple doing this? Why are they talking about controlling your phone with your mind? Because as Elon Musk has said, as I've told people on my channel for years, the cell phone is...
And the phones are addictive. Okay, it's set up. The screen it's all set up. Okay, because they're leading you into, it's hard to go time without looking at your phone, especially with all of these things happening. And an aspect of, our ministry is we operate, even if you're not looking at the phone, you're looking at the computer. All right, we're doing these videos through the computer. We receive information through the phone. So the mass majority of the people you'll be able to, use your phone, no one would know. You could be using your phone and you looking at it through your chip. Okay, you're allowed to scroll the internet with your mind. And it's crazy. I don't know what this is. What this devil was doing. All right, the scriptures say he would give you a mark in your right hand and your forehead. Meta. The word forehead is meta. He wants control of that region of human beings' bodies. Right, because that's where the Heavenly Father, deals with man, and He wants to be God. He wants to control, spirits and how the flow of humanity by recreating them in His image, transforming your mind, man, transforming your bio makeup and merging it with technology. This is crazy, right? Smartphones soon to become obsolete. BCIs like Neuralink are the way forward, man. So they've gradually brought you into this point. And again, it's going to be tied to pleasure. It's going to be tied to making things easier for you. It's going to be tied to healing. It's going to be tied to all of these things that, lift you from the burdens of the old world, of the Stone Age. They're evolving into their new age. Okay, this is an aspect of evolution for Esau, transforming into a god. Okay, and he's going to act as if he's going to bring you along, but it's going to be an enslavement. Okay, And the carbon, which the makeup of carbon, if you go to I forget how it goes, 6 protons. The carbon is triple six. Okay. As a matter of fact, let me just look it up like this. I typed in here, what does triple six have to do with carbon? Now we know one of the agendas of these people is a carbon agenda. Okay, you can just type in, what is the carbon agenda? Okay. Which just goes back to the Club of Rome as well. You can go into that. But this agenda refers to a set of actions and policies aimed at reducing carbon emissions and achieving low carbon and net zero. And what is this really all about, man? Of course, reducing the people, but who in particular? Okay, is hogging up all of the carbon and heating the earth? Well, the niggas, cows, nature itself, the unfortunate. And they're going to use, these, their scientific racism to enforce a lot of these policies and to get rid of a lot of people. I mean, they're literally going in on the left hand. They're dimming the sun, spraying all kind of chemicals in the air. They're getting ready to go in. Things are happening. Okay. This includes transitioning and renewable energy. Now, what does this all have to do with the 666? Because when you go to Revelation 13 and 18, it says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. All right. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 603. Now, in the NLT, it says wisdom is needed here. Okay. And now you have particular, of these Christians, these right wing, or these, Christian truthers as well. They're going into the MOTB and they're talking about the 666 system, but they don't know how to link it to Esau, the man of sin. What they talk about is this Antichrist figure that's going to appear at the meeting. All right, in a big a suit that's too big, and a hat, a Dick Tracy hat covering his face. He finally came. And tell the people that now it's time to bring the chip. That's how they present it, the Antichrist. This mythical figure, which there's many Antichrists. And really, that was going back to the history of what was happening with those who left the church. But it's a spirit as well that's in this world that dominates this world, and is rooted in this devil. That's why everything is centered around 6. Okay, it's hidden in many of these logos, man. Wisdom is needed here. Let one with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. 603. Okay, which call Halal Yahweh Bashim Shai, we have victory over. Now, we always show you how when you break that down, if it comes up or if it doesn't, is centered around Chai Psi Stigma. We know Chai is the first 3 letters and anointed or Christ. Okay, and as you can see, it's an X. Okay, Psi. Okay, which again, this Psi, all right, character, it deals with physics when you go into it. Okay. As a matter of fact, I'll type it in. What does the Greek letter, let's see, which one is it? Because you got Chai, Psi, Stigma. That's the 666. And ultimately, it's his plan to merge man with machine, to make you a barcode, a scannable, traceable, okay, item that can be tracked on his grid. Okay. with physics and carbon. Check this out. See what it says. What does the Greek letter xi have to do with physics? The Greek letter xi used in physics and chemistry. See, your bodily chemistry, your heat will get you going. He wants control of that. Okay, chem is where you get chemetic science. Hamites, chem is there the how you pronounce that in the Hebrew, and it just means heat. Chemistry means heat. Chem. You see, will get you going, and you know they're re-engineering man. And this is not medical information. It says, but it doesn't have a universal fixed meaning like some other symbols. Instead, its meaning is depending on context. In physics, all right, and the very interesting thing about this Greek letter is that we see it in its uppercase form. As you can see those three lines, we see it in our everyday life. It's something that we see, you know, in Tesla. You know, you look at the logos, you'll see these three E's. Okay, it's a font. Okay, which you'll see it, you know, even if you use particular fonts, it'll be those three lines as E's. But what is that really speaking to? Okay, it's speaking to this system. Now, to tie it all together, okay, chi, psi, stigma, okay, in physics, xi often represents dampening ratio, system under that, critically damped. Not directly tied to carbon, but relevant and vibrational physics, which applies to molecular bonds, correlation, length, mechanics. I mean, you could look it up. Okay. But it's used in physics. That's an aspect of, you know, so you got chi, psi, stigma. And what is a stigma? So they're going to X out the anointed. Chi is the first three letters of anointed. They're replacing the true anointed with themselves, their light. This is Lucifer. Okay, the illuminated one. He's establishing his light. That's why it says in Revelation 18, your light, the light in thee will no longer shine. This wicked priesthood, the illuminated ones, are going to be taken down, man, because they're the ones at the forefront of this plan. And what is stigma? Stigma is a mark pricked or branded into the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belonged to. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their god. So this is an idol. And see, in times past, it was a brand or a tattoo. And this time, it's going to be, okay, incensed in you, stigma, for recognition of ownership. Okay. And how does the Lord own man? All right. Of course, he gives them a body, but it's through their spirit, because their spirit, their, you know, every human being has a spirit, but within that is your soul, what you're programmed to do, what nation you're going to belong to. What your mission would be in the earth. Everybody fulfills a particular purpose. See? And Esau wants control of that. He wants to own you. He wants to own your soul. See? And this system is being brought about, okay, as we go back up here, through the ability to track you via your carbon footprint. And carbon is associated as well. The association between 666 and carbon comes from the numerological and symbolic interpretation, not a scientific one. Here's how some people sometimes make the connection. Carbon is the sixth element on the periodic table, and it has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. Okay, now you can look more of that up. It says carbon equals the basis of human life. 666 equals symbol of imperfection or evil in some religious traditions. Right. And it ultimately represents Esau, the man of sin. And this is the number that will be tied to him. This is why you see it hidden. And even in his the Monster Energy drink, you see, all right, the 666 with Hebrew characters. All right, remember Esau was a Hebrew, but he was a Hebrew Edomite. He spoke Hebrew. He came from a Hebrew people. So here it is when you look up the Monster Energy drink. Okay, it's nothing but, okay, he's the beast man, but it's nothing but 3 Hebrew 6s. See that? That's right in your face. But look what they're associated with, some red devil. No, it's associated with the red beast, Esau Edom. The man of sin is being revealed, and his plan is to get control of the mankind by, it's a crazy plan, but you see it. Okay? So you can look more into that. It says, how does carbon tie to human bodies? Carbon is the backbone of life. Carbon atoms can form 4 covalent bonds. And, you know, those of you who are into that can get all into that. I'm just giving you the overall, man, shit. The carbon, goddamn, it's life. It's plants, everything. Cows, it's all, carbon is a part of all of that, man. Okay? Let's see. It bonds easily with hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. So there's a scientific way through the right hand of the Most High created man, but he left it in imperfection for this age. Okay, and only the elect are gonna be, you know, transformed into those new bodies, changed at the twinkling of an eye. Okay, all nations ain't gonna partake in that. Okay, but there's still a very complex and beautiful way he made human beings. It's a high level functioning computer, and Esau wants to hack it. Biohacking is what he calls it. Carbon is the chemical foundation of our body. It's in your D to the N to the A. That's a goddamn saying you gotta, all right, which is an acid. When you go into what that is the way the Most High set this body up. There's enough information in an eyeball to fill thousands of libraries. This so complex. Esau will never fully figure it out, but he's been able to tap into, okay, a portion of it. Okay, let's see if I'm right, because y'all look. Let's see if what AI can. The DNA information in an eyeball. Let's see. How many? Let's see. How many libraries can the information in DNA? Eyeball. I'm sorry, y'all. Shit, what you gonna do? Just watch the video. Follow me. I know the way. Let's see. How many libraries can the information of the DNA fill? This is a fun, mind-blowing question. Let's break it down. Let's see here. 120 million cells as a ballpark. The human eye has roughly 100 million, 150 million cells. This is a rough estimate. This is just rough estimate. So let's compare it to a Library of Congress. The Library of Congress holds 20 petabytes of digital data estimate. Final answer. If we treat each cell's DNA as a separate data, the DNA in a human eyeball will store about 90 petabytes of data. So the Library of Congress, that's just the eyeball. Now I said maybe, okay, this is equivalent to about 4 or 5 libraries. So the amount of information in an eyeball alone could fill 4 to 5 libraries. and they're just roughly estimating it. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, what I typed in, okay, as the scriptures say, I'm beautiful and wonderfully made. I said, how would a world look if a tyrant could track carbon? How would it be used? Because we know a tyrant rules the earth. It says a tyrant or authoritarian regime, if they had the power to track carbon at a detailed level, especially individual carbon footprints, the world could change deeply in dystopian controlling ways. Here's how it could be used. Total surveillance through carbon tracking. Every individual's carbon footprint is monitored in real time. See, it's telling on them what you eat, how you travel, what you buy, even what you heat, how you heat your home. Smart, okay? Because you're smart if you follow them. So it's called smart technology. Smart meters. Smart. They'll end up controlling your ass. Okay, robots. Okay, you got this aspect of robots. They're taking over. Okay? Matter of fact, we'll get to that in just a minute. Let me see. It was something I wanted to get. Because all of these devils are part of this plan. Okay, check this out. We'll go back to that. But Trump is over in Saudi Arabia, and they're going to invest $600 billion into AI and to bring about this new world order infrastructure. Okay, and the Saudis at that level that he's dealing with are Edomites. Okay, and let's listen to this real quick.
President Trump, he wants to round it up to $1 trillion worth of
Arrows of Indignation 144. They are all in one consent to bring forth the Haragma, a full digital society where you're linked in. Okay, where they have control of carbon through, hacking you. Man, this nigga is crazy.
deals and investments in the United States. Where do you think that money's going? Most of it's AI. This trip is about two things: China and AI. What people don't realize, that region is one of the it's AI. This trip is the United States. Where do you think that rounded up to $1 trillion worth of deals and investments in the United States? Where do you think that money's going? Most of it's AI. This trip is about two things: China and AI. What people don't realize, that region is one of the fastest growing on earth. I'm talking about the circle of friendship. Your Saudi Arabia.
And what's going on in China? They already got this system set in place. They're just further along with it.
United Arab Emirates. Who's number 3 in AI development right now? U.S. China's number 2. Number 3, UAE. So that's why all those AI guys are there. They are so advanced. I just got back there 2 days ago from there, from Abu Dhabi and Dubai. I stopped.
And what does the scripture say? One consent. Psalms 83. Okay, chapter 1, Psalms 83 and 1. Keep thou not silence, O my power. Hold not thy peace. Be not still, O my power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up a head. This is the lifting of the head. Because to invest in AI means you're investing in a war against the return of Yahweh Shai. And the trying to hijack creation and create your own version so that you get out of the judgment written in the volume of the book. Okay, make humans what you intended so you can change the will of the Most High. This is how crazy this guy is. But this is the movie we're living in. And a lot of you really don't understand the reality of what's happening around you and how this ties to Jacob and Esau and the blessing and the birthright. This is crazy. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. They have consulted against thy hidden ones. That's what they're doing. This is Esau trying to get the birthright back. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. This is what this would do, is if he was able to implement this plan, we would no longer be Israelites. He could create us and make us into where he wanted. Okay, even when you deal with this D to the N to the Izay, okay, as you can see here, it's the R to the N to the Izay. And when you look at the juice, what was that geared towards? Manipulating. All right. So this devil is trying to do something. He got something going on. And all of these nations are really coming together to join hand in hand to cut off the nation of Israel, because all of these nations know who we are. They know what this represents. And Esau has control. He got the blessing. So a lot of them are seeming to side with him, but it's all going to collapse. It's not going to work. They have consulted together with one consent, the one world order, man. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites. Now we know the Saudis are literally at the forefront of it are Edomites that pose as Saudis, but the Ishmaelites, all right, the Arabs are a part of this as well. Okay, even when you look at Putin, all of these people are moving towards this system. All of these nations are moving towards this system. All right, because the rulers of these nations, which in a lot of times are Edomites, okay, who the people who really have control in the grand scheme of things, okay, are Edomites. Okay, the Moabites, it mentioned the Edomites, the Ishmaelites, which are Arabs, so-called Arabs, Moabites, the Hagarenes, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek. Amalek is mentioned up in there along with Edom, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Okay, and the inhabitants of Tyre right now. Okay, and who's inhabiting that area? All right, some the Arabs. Right, some Amalekites. Okay, the Hamite people. See, and they've consulted together with one consent. Okay, and they're all in cahoots to establish this madness, man.
For the first time ever, a real estate development completely AI driven. We have nothing like it here. You talk about a smart home, they're way past that. The medical AI technology they have over there, I got a procedure there we don't offer here, FDA doesn't allow it, called EBU, where my blood was filtered and then oxygenated, then ozonated, and then injected with 50 billion exosomes. I walked out of there like a teenager. I feel like $1 million right now. I said, can I do this again next week? They said, no, you've got to wait 4 more months. They are so advanced. By getting this whole thing worked out with these countries, we need to align with them because they want to be in a circle of friendship on all of these metrics, whether it's going to be AI, whether it's going to be real estate, whether it's going to be development. And we don't want China doing that. We want the U.S. forming that relationship. It's a consequential Saudi visit, is it not?
You see that? And they're moving, bro. Okay? They're moving. Through the spirit, they're moving. All right, these are some beautiful times, man. Okay, these are some beautiful times, man. But there was a point where I saw 600 billion. As a matter of fact, let's see if I can find that. All right. All right. Trump says U.S. to lift serious sanctions, secure 600. So see that number 6 is it's all in there. You always see it. Okay? And they're bringing about these robots, man. Okay? They're bringing about artificial intelligence. Okay? In the earth. That's what they're meeting to forward. As a matter of fact, go right here and then we'll go back to that other video.
We've got ones that can see. Welcome, everybody, to today's show. Elon Musk was also in attendance at this big event in Saudi Arabia where Donald Trump, Jeff Bezos, Sam Altman, and these other big tech corporations are meeting with the Saudi government. And I want to show you some of the stuff that is being discussed so that you can continue to see that Elon Musk has not flopped the way that he thinks. He's not changed his thinking because he suddenly is aligned with Trump. He's manipulating the people out there who are now supporting him. One of the things he discusses while he's there is universal basic income, and they've reworded this into universal high basic income, pretty much telling everybody that once AI is in place and once these humanoid robots are in place, and all human beings lose their jobs, that they're going to live like kings and queens.
Right, because as a matter of fact, it was something I was looking at. Let me see if I can find it. These robots are taking over jobs. Check this out.
Amazon's new robot, Vulcan, doesn't look like a person or move like one.
This is the robotic ripper. This is the hand. These are paddles that can squeeze the item.
But it's doing a job that until now only people at Amazon could do. Stowing.
See, what they did was they used the human biology and studied you. And you remember seeing the NBA games where you would have the basketball player dribbling and they're recording, and and they've used they're going to use it. All right, because basically you were training everybody was used as an experiment to train AI to take over human jobs, man. To be this devil is losing his mind. Okay, this is where we are.
Putting thousands of items into bins.
Our hands are one of the most amazing parts of our bodies. And it's that physical intelligence, that physical AI that we're trying to give to the Vulcan robots.
While other robots rely on cameras, Vulcan is Amazon's first robot that's able to feel the items it touches, meaning it can handle way more items than past robots, choosing and placing them accurately.
So on a single shelf, you might be able to create a certain size space, maybe for a dog.
Troy, his job gone. Right? Lathina, her job gone. Okay? Marcus, gone. Bottom shelf Brad, job gone. This is where it's all going through. Daniel chapter 12 and 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Knowledge. The word science means knowledge is being increased right before our very eyes, man. Okay, these are the miracles of the beast. And while people are wooed by it, they're not understanding that this is getting ready to take over life as you know it. So where does that leave you? Or the majority of the people are going to be offed. The rest of the people are going to have to upgrade themselves, be emerging with machine, because you're not going to be able to compete with everyday life if you're not upgraded. But you have to behold the coagula. The movie Get Out. Esau's bugged out, man. Okay, the knowledge would increase. Okay. AMP, but as for you, Daniel, conceal these words and seal up the scroll until the end time, because the things written as the forwarding of the fourth beast, the revival of it, okay, and how it will operate. Ultimately, it was at the time Yahushua came on the scene. Eventually, he returned back to the right-hand side, okay, and some of those prophecies were expounded on in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, Revelation, the 17th chapter by John. Some of the things that Daniel wrote about there, he further expanded on that final kingdom, okay, and then in the latter days, the prophets would come through the blood of Yahushua, okay, and expound on these things. The understanding of all of these prophecies and how to link them together will be expounded on here in these latter days, man. Okay, it's all coming out. Okay, many will go back and forth and search anxiously through the scroll. People are trying to figure things out. And knowledge on the purpose of God as revealed by his prophets will greatly increase. All right. And that's what's the main thing increasing is the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the Holy Scriptures. But science, knowledge, period. Everything is at its height. OK, everything is heightened. We're at a very interesting time, man. OK, and look at this shit.
A toy, but not for a basketball. The robot is doing that assessment.
So as Amazon empowers some of its 750,000 plus robots with more and more skills like ours, is Vulcan the robot that could finally eliminate the need for Amazon's human workforce?
There may be a reduction in workforce, but no, the workers will still be needed and the workers will be more efficient.
We went to Spokane, Washington to get the world's first look at Vulcan, fully in
because human error was one of the main things that Trump came in talking about.
Use on the warehouse floor, and ask its lead creator exactly how it works, why it's a game changer, and what's stopping robots from replacing all the people at Amazon warehouses like this one.
And they will replace you. They're talking about it ain't going to replace you. Yeah, right.
Driverless trucks are here. Aurora Innovation says it's ready
Driverless trucks are here.
to go completely driverless, a key milestone that could reshape the trucking industry. At least 10 companies.
And here it is, they boasting and all of this right before your very eyes. And just like when Gates was on the Jimmy Fallon show, let me see if I can find that. What's this? Check this out. See if I can pull it up.
A 3-month-old.
That's sweet. And what did mom say when she found out you were doing this? Like, it was just interesting.
By then, she had relaxed a little bit.
Yeah.
She always said, "Okay, you need me for this or that," and so we had some intense in our relationship. Both she and my dad, in their own way, were fantastic.
Good. I think you did okay. Yeah.
Even though I pushed back,
that's
showing you really can be on top of the world, and my mom by kind of pushing me.
What are the pros and cons for, in layman's terms, for someone like me?
Yeah. So the era we've come to is sort of the vision that computing was expensive and it basically became free. The era that we're just starting is that intelligence is rare. A great doctor, a great teacher, and with AI over the next decade, that will become free, commonplace. Great medical advice, great tutoring, and it's kind of profound because it solves all these specific problems. Like we don't have enough doctors or mental health professionals, but it brings with it kind of so much change. What will jobs be like? Should we just work like 2 or 3 days a week? So I love the way it'll drive innovation forward. But I think
so. That's the employment will the grinding will cease. And if you do work, your role will be lessened and lessened until AI fully figures it out and Esau gets what he wants out of it. Okay, and then this is how he's forcing you as well into this system. And anyone who's speaking against, going to speak against this and not believing it, you're going to put yourself at the threat of death.
It's a little bit unknown. Yeah. Will we be able to shape it?
See, they come all meek and humble, but this nigga will kill your ass. They fly all over the earth. Just oh my goodness, man! If you could really say, especially over in India, Africa, they over there just here. Try this.
And so, legitimately, people are like, wow, this is a bit scary. It's completely new territory.
I mean, will we still need humans?
Not for most things. We'll decide.
I mean, hopefully, can talk to you.
And the people laughed at that. Although we know that's all, most of it is fake, scripted. It's a fake crowd sometimes, but the people, there are people there. Okay? And what listen to this, will we still need humans? Because this system ain't gonna work with all of these people. They need they gotta coal. They gotta cut the fat.
Things. We'll decide. Legitimately, people are like, wow, this is a bit scary. It's completely new territory.
I mean, will we still need humans?
Not for most things. We'll decide.
I mean, hopefully, can talk to you. Definitely. You're gonna really.
Shit.
We'll decide. Like baseball, we won't want to watch computers play baseball.
That's right. Yeah.
And so there'll be some things that we reserve for ourselves. But in terms of
your ass gonna be playing baseball, throwing a baseball for a minute, but then once they bring them superhumans, you're not gonna be needed because they've learned how to make robots out of and cover them with a human-like flesh.
Making things and moving things and growing food over time, those will be basically solved problems.
Yeah. Which we need to solve problems because you got some grandkids.
I do.
They just skip right over that.
These are known to be developing driverless technology for trucks, most expected to pull the driver or go fully autonomous on public roads later this year or as soon as 2026. That is not far off. We've discussed the cars and the taxis on this show, and we've all emphasized that we would be very scared to get stuck in one and what could potentially go wrong. A truck is a bigger vehicle. I'll start with you, David, from a investment perspective. I mean, do we have to get on board with this because this is where it's all going?
Well, a couple things to understand. One is that pretty much everything in life shows up on a truck like that. And so we've got a big need. It's hard to find drivers. They've got limits on how far they can go, how long they can go, et cetera. So
all kind of people looking for jobs, man. These are false narratives that they're putting out there. Not enough doctors. These people are crazy, man.
We got autonomous. Yep. You're taking away some jobs, so I don't love that idea, but I do like the idea that maybe there's something that can go in a more efficient way. But I just say it this way. I got a $100 chauffeur recently for my Model X Tesla, and it does a pretty good job.
But what if you can't make a huge truck like that stop and it hits something or obstructions, if there's a technological failure of some sort, that seems scary to me, just of a vehicle that size. I'm just lobbing that one.
I guess I have more faith in the technology. I've seen, I think, how Waymo operates.
It's time for you so-called white people to just shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut your ass up. I don't even want to listen to this shit anymore.
Welcome everybody to today's show.
Look at this goddamn robot
that they're using to get society to accept these absolutely over-the-top, insanely.
You see, they got the robot dancing. That robot will snap your goddamn neck.
Created robots into our world to allow these things to be in our homes, to allow our neighbors to have one of these things. This is how they have to convince you. So let me start with this. He's obviously using humor. We saw this with Boston Robotics, where they're trying to show you these things dancing. And of course, that works on the sheeple.
Yo, he's going to wage war. And when we read Daniel, let's not forget, earlier in that chapter, it talks about a time like never before. So crazy that Michael is going to have to stand up. The return of Yahweh is going to get so bad that angels are going to have to intervene. Because that if no flesh will be saved. Okay, literally, no flesh, no flesh will be saved. Okay, Mark 13:20, and except the Lord have shortened no days, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom the Lord have chosen, he have shortened the days. And when you go to that word flesh, is sarx. So if literally, looking at what he's trying to do with humans, if no flesh would be saved, he would basically take away the meaning of human and impose his will on the Lord's creation. And a time like never before, since there was a human race made, is directly tied to knowledge increasing, because you see these robots dancing and playing, and at the halftime show, so you see it doing the Cupid shuffle and the icky shuffle at the goddamn Warriors halftime. Get in there, yeah, dancing. But this thing is these things are gonna be sicked on your ass. Watch. These gonna be the new police. We have a police shortage. So who gonna be the new police? This guy. What's funny? Me and a brother was just joking about this, and now it's here. We were just joking about how the robot breakdancing and shit, and now look.
It couldn't be more ridiculous. But that's actually the mindset of the world that we live in. People are just constantly in the need for entertainment. They don't take anything seriously. And even when these people who are creating this technology,
though you Edomites are going out bad. So they're making tens of billions of these because they're going to be used to fight against your ass. See, but they're presenting everything as this innocent little technology. See, and they think that they're going to use this to fight against the Heavenly Father's Son, man. Let's see here. Let's go back here.
which means that you will be able to connect to the internet wirelessly. You will be a part of what is called the Internet of Bodies. And I believe this has everything to do with the mark of the beast. Remember in the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verses 16.
Wait a minute. Let's exit this. How can the Internet of Bodies, the Internet of Bodies, tie with carbon? How does the Internet of Bodies, because the Internet of Bodies, the concept of Internet of Bodies combined with carbon agenda creates a powerful and controversial vision for the future where human bodies become nodes in a global carbon control system. It's telling on, again, ain't his own tongue falling on himself? This helps us bring forth the understanding of what the scriptures is talking about. The prophets or the men of the Lord, man, the Lord is using the men of the Lord to edify his people, man. The Internet of Bodies is an extension of the Internet of Things, but it involves device implanted, worn on, or intertracing directly with the human body. Implants, wearables, smart pills. All right, and you can read that. Again, this ain't medical information. How Internet of Bodies, all right, you just read what it was. It's an extension of the Internet of Things that involves implanted things. How can the Internet of Bodies and carbon agenda be linked? Tracking individual carbon footprint. The devices could use to control your diet, meat versus plant-based. They can basically set up a system to where who you are and your social credit score, you can't have real meat. You only allowed to have this kind of meat, and it's gonna be what that mystery meat that they making. Okay, they're gonna be able to ration food to you based upon and then eventually you won't be able to buy or sell anything. Physical activity. Do you walk or drive? How far you can go? Body emissions, energy used. Imagine a smart implant or a wearable calculating you burn 2,000 calories, consume 400 grams of beef, took 10,000 steps and used public transit. Your daily carbon score is 1.2 kilograms CO2. Enforcing personal carbon quotas. Your personal carbon allowance could be managed through IOB, the Internet of Bodies. Once you hit your monthly limit, access to certain services, transporting, shopping could be restricted. Devices could be alert or penalize you for carbon violations. Your biometric identity, carbon credit accounts, digital passports to travel, personalized restrictions, or privileges based on your carbon impact. Carbon-based tax, everything will be taxed. They'll have their cut off top. Okay, ain't no black market. It's the only way you can move. Okay. Predictive control. You're at risk of exceeding your carbon budget, redirecting you to plant-based options. Man, goodness gracious. Dystopian possibilities, loss of autonomy. Your body becomes a data stream for environment compliance, surveillance, capitalism. Health plus carbon data becomes a commodity. That's what they're trying to do. Data is the new gold. That's why they're setting up data systems. Trump is at the when he came in, what was he talking about? Data centers. Digital carbon caste system. Those with low carbon scores get privileges. Others get penalized and restricted. Okay. Point blank period. If you can't see it, then that's on you. That's on you.
The rating is very important for everybody out
So
there.
you.
Everybody, whether you believe or not. Maybe this will make you a believer as you see this play out in front of you. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that the connection to Apple. Apple now bringing the phone inside of the body. Neuralink being the future of phones. The smartphone will be obsolete. Yet we live in a world where 80.4% of Americans, as of this year, 273 million people shop online. And what was the quote from?
You're so burdened, everything. You get everything online. I mean, well, unless you're going to get groceries. But buying certain things, you just shop it online. But yeah, I'm not getting groceries online. I'm going to the store. All right. But
from Revelation, what does Scripture tell us? That you will not be able to buy or sell without
you're being drawn into his image so he can bring you that mark. Okay.
having the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So if 80% of Americans in 2024 are shopping online, we see more stores closing. We see Amazon and these corporations selling food and things online, delivering food to your door. You don't even have to go to the grocery anymore. They're making it almost like you never have to leave your home, so you stay imprisoned inside of your home. And that number in 2024, by the year 2030, will probably be 100% of Americans and 100% of people around the world, which is why they're so hell-bent on hooking these Starlinks up in every single continent, including countries that want nothing to do with the internet. Remember as well, while the internet...
Yeah, they talk about we got to get internet, the poor and the less fortunate people who they don't care about internet. They've been surviving just, y'all got to get it. We got to be able to track y'all. Y'all got to be on the grid.
Itself may be a creation of DARPA. The birth of the web took place at CERN. The birth of the web, the World Wide Web. What is the logo for CERN, for starters? Very clear to see the number 66.
It's 5 6s if you look at it, 2, 3, 4. This one, it's like 6. It's 5. I believe it's 5 if you really count it. It's not really just triple, but it's the number 6. I mean, come on now.
6 in the logo for CERN. In Hebrew, www, World Wide Web, birth at CERN. In Hebrew, it translates to 666. Now, the next thing to remember is something that often gets overlooked. How they've been talking about 6G wireless
So there you go.
tech using human bodies for energy. Most people don't get what that means. Can electricity from the human body replace batteries? Scientists want to use people as antennas. This is often overlooked in the movie The Matrix, where most people believe that they're awake and they're red-pilled and they understand what's going on. Back when The Matrix came out, a lot of people didn't know where we were headed and what the symbolism in that film was, where he says turning you into this, right? Turning you into a battery.
The Matrix. Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
That's what this is right here. That's what you're seeing. And remember, in witchcraft, energy is the key element in witchcraft. Witchcraft, Satanists, the rituals that they do, they harvest energy. And now you yourself are going to be turned into that battery because you're going to be operating on the Internet of Bodies. This technology is going to be inside of you. And they're telling you this with things like you and AI as one, Elon Musk, X as humanity's collective consciousness, creating a neural lace is the thing that really matters for humanity to achieve symbiosis with machines. These are some clips, including ones I've shown you before.
We're going to move from this form factor to something that's on your face, glasses, and
Another 6. You see that? See that? Secretly, right there. The Lord, we have a sure word of prophecy. That number was going to be tied to him for a reason, because it's tied to his agenda that he would bring forth. All right, at the very end, his 4th industrial revolution. Where did industrial revolution start? And with the British, the first industrial revolution started during the British Empire, which America was born out of that. So now they're in their 4th their 4th industrial revolution, which is merging man with machine. The Bible talks about this.
when computing's all on the
This
edge.
nigga.
50 seconds. You want to answer quickly? I think it will go. It will. First of all, it will definitely happen. I was talking about 6G earlier, which is around 2030. I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual kind of the most common interface. Wow. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
The U.S. government's defense.
Many of these things will be directly in our bodies.
Advanced Research Projects Agency.
60 years.
Next generation non-surgical neurotechnology designed to allow the human brain to directly interface with machines.
Know that DARPA is exploring human-machine interfaces that include direct connections between the brain and outside systems.
We could have a sensor maybe on the surface of our head, or maybe implanted somewhere in our body, in our brain, or something that allows us to interact directly with our communications gear, our processing gear, our weapon systems, and so on.
So in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants.
You heard that? You think they don't mean that? Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants.
Hello, Bethany speaking. What are you doing? Bethany, can you hear me? Well, you're right in front of me. But can you hear me down the phone? Oh my gosh. This is me. On the phone, I had it implanted. My hand is the phone. I can walk and talk because I'm on the phone. The phone inside my hand. I am the phone. This is what phones are going to be from now on. I've integrated. Thank you for your call. Subdermal implants. They charge themselves with motion like a self-winding watch. I get signal across 95% of UK mainland, 98 by next year. It's ringing. You were ringing. That's the speaker. So small. On the phone, I had it implanted. My hand is the phone. I am the phone.
By the sudden rollout of Rook Unlimited's most...
I've said this for a couple of years. All of these companies, from Samsung to Nokia to Apple to Tesla, who also has their own cell phone, they're all going to market you the same thing. They're going to make smartphones obsolete by design, just like they've made flip phones obsolete by design, where they phase people out, where they say, we're not going to let you run on 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G. In fact, we'll give you a free phone just to get you on the 5G network. Well, if everything is going to run through the phone, where you won't be able to go to an airport because you won't get a boarding pass anymore. I just talked about that, right? They're not letting people print boarding passes. They want you to use your phone. Go to a concert, go to a sporting event. Phone. Well, if they're telling you the phone's going to be obsolete, like the guy in Nokia said, what do you think they're telling you? That all of a sudden we're going to go back to living in the Stone Ages? We're going to go back to living like Little House on the Prairie? No. They're telling you that the phone is going to be obsolete, but the technology's not, because you're going to become one with the phone. And this is the mark of the beast.
This is that forbidden fruit. That's why they having that apple. They got that forbidden fruit.
Philema. It is the symbol of Babylon, the mother of abominations. We've been told that artificial intelligence is summoning the demon. Apple even tells you we're selling you our products with a logo of an apple with a bite in it. What do you think the bite represents? It represents
the word demon means intelligence. They're just connected to left-hand power. But the left hand works for the Most High. Okay? To get the will of evil done on earth. But it's all going to turn on itself. It's not made to get the victory.
Forbidden fruit. That's referenced in the Bible. Biting of the forbidden fruit. The forbidden knowledge. This is what's happening.
And we know it wasn't an apple. It was a philosophy. But we're seeing that philosophy play out now. As that, you remember the scriptures call him that old serpent. Right? Is not that what he's labeled in the scriptures? Okay, that old serpent, it was tied to who? This great dragon that was cast out is tied directly, okay, to the story of, it called it a red dragon, which that's tied to the Edomites who ruled the Western Roman Empire. But when you go into it, it's directly tied to King Herod, whose father was Antipater the Idumean. Okay, so as Rome would be revived, that will be the system and rulership who the Lord is going to return to. Who is this that coming from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? The great dragon was cast out because through him coming with all of this madness, the Lord is going to have to intervene with the angels. Remember, it said here in the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, in the first verse, and at that time Michael shall stand up, the great prince, which was standing for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, which such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time, and thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book of life. So this is directly tied, okay, to the what we read about here in Revelation 12:7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought against his angels. And this is nothing but what you read about in the book of 2nd Esdras, the 13th chapter. Second Esdras, the 13th chapter. And we'll read verse 32. And at the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs which shall happen, which I showed thee before, and then shall my son be declared, whom thou saw as a man ascending. Now, when Yahushua returns in Revelation, the 19th chapter, Revelation 29, Revelation, the 19th chapter, right? As you read this, when he comes back to make war with the heathen, Revelation 19:15 or 14, and the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses. This is the chariots, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. And he shall rule over them with a rod of iron, because these nations are going to fight against Yahushai. Revelation 19 and 19. And I saw the beast. All right, this is on earth. And the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. So they're going to fight against Yahushai and his angels. See that? That's the war in heaven. And there was war in heaven, Michael and his angel, because it's going to get so bad. Their AI is going to be fighting against the along with these other heathen nations and their armies. It's going to be fighting against the Lord, but it's going to be on earth wreaking havoc, passing laws to outlaw people. We just showed you that they can program it, but it's all going to turn on them. So in Revelation 13, it expounds on that war. Verse 31, 2nd Ezra 13 and 31, and one, hold up, start at 29. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth. What did we read in Daniel? Through this, thy people shall be delivered. That's the war in heaven. See, you all in that mythology, y'all got to stop. Y'all literally think Satan. Oh my goodness, man. We got to get out of here, man. Y'all done made me lose my spot. Oh, here I go. Behold, the days come when the Most High will deliver, 2nd Ezra 13 and 29, them that are upon the earth. And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. Through them chariots. One shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, one realm against another. Okay? And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and these signs shall happen, which I showed thee before. And then my son shall be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. Your son is going to ascend. See? And when the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have against one another. Right? And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together as thou sawest, and willing to fight and overcome him by fighting. So again, these nations have their technology. These nations are invested in AI. They're going to use all of that. They have the Space Force, right? The sixth. Okay, let's type it in. What is the sixth branch of the U.S. military? Space Force. Does not Elon have the Dragon? Elon Dragon refers to SpaceX. We saw the Greek letter for X is Chi. They're gonna try to fight the Messiah. Dragon spacecraft, a serious spacecraft. We're here, man. What you talking about? And meanwhile, niggas are crashing out. Okay, wanting to be the man, wanting to make a name. Look, the Lord is making a name for himself. Glorify the Lord. Right? But that's too much right. Niggas got to just nig. Niggas are going to nig. So that old serpent, which had that philosophy that reinvented the garden and hijacked life back then, he trying to do it on a whole nother level now.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's quietly happening, and they're desensitizing people through mind control, making people think, well, it's just a test run. This technology is already ready. It's done. It's complete. It's about convincing you and phasing you into the tech. So at the end of 2025, okay, so keep hearing stories about how Apple's doing it, just like you'll keep hearing stories about how Neuralink is doing the same exact thing, and they're running experiments. Oh, but it's for somebody with Parkinson's disease, so we should all allow this technology to exist because now the guy with Parkinson's can speak through a computer. And everyone goes, well, who are you to say? This poor guy lived his life like this, and now, he should be allowed to have that technology. Without, of course, the people saying, well, how did he get Parkinson's? They looking up at the spraying in the sky or the chemicals in the food? Of course not. Of course not. The future is brain-computer interface. Mixing iron and clay, making you a human.
That's not mixing iron with clay.
Their YouTube channel that shows you exactly what this hell on earth looks like. But let's start here with how they're really just convincing people to willingly track one another and bring in the surveillance state themselves.
All right. Well, next time you are on a cruise and you want to check in on your kids or your pets at home, you may want to check out Life 360. The platform provides an all-inclusive safety service that helps keep track of your loved ones, features crash detection, and it even has cybersecurity.
You will be deceived by his miracles.
Security features that protects your data. Chris, your company has been doing so well. Obviously, cybersecurity and physical safety security are a big combination, and you're really capitalizing on that. What do you think is the best piece and the best product that you're selling within Life 360 right now, and why is it so popular?
It's really the entire service. We are like location sharing.
And they come speaking so soft. You really believe these people got good intent?
For families, and it really differentiates us from.
They got the white background making you all comfortable, and this is innocent. Come on, man.
Things like Find My. As millennial parents age into our category, they just realize that digital technology is such an easy thing to get through the day. No more where are you texts, no more worrying if your kids are speeding, no more looking for your lost keys. And people are understanding just how powerful this is. And we're essentially becoming a super app for families. So in the same way Facebook got huge with friends, LinkedIn did it with professionals, we've become that digital brand for the millennial family group.
Yeah, and I do know parents that do use Life 360. You have tile tags, which is very similar, obviously, to an Apple AirTag. Is that your competition? Or
in some ways,
go ahead.
In some ways, yes, but Apple really does more of a generic one-size-fits-all service. Everything
was like almost made for Black Mirror. And they're actually, remember, they're showing you this like this is a positive. Like you should see this and want this.
Yeah, they're even talking about tracking your kids.
We've got ones that can see. Welcome, everybody, to today's show. Most of you know the Real ID rollout happened a few days ago, and I did a detailed video on the Real ID and how this is leading towards the digital ID and how they now can actually use the Real ID as a digital form of identification over on My Nation's Conspire channel. But I have to cover this because this is basic communism training. And I want to thank a subscriber over on the website, Mark C., for sharing this with me because I would not have seen this. You only see, that's what's great about the website.
Yeah, and he most likely got a team that sends him stuff. Even brothers, man, we get so much information, man. If I reported on everything, it'd be crazy. But it's a lot of stuff I just have waiting. I email it to myself, and I don't even be getting it's probably emails I ain't even read from actual people. I don't even, I send, it's so much happening. It's just a time of overflowing. Like messages is just everywhere. But I'm going to go through and look through and see if I can find some good stuff to bring out because there's so much, man.
Is that there's different stories going on in different affiliate markets, which means wherever we're located, I'm not going to see a story about Legoland putting out Real IDs for kids unless somebody shares it with me because I don't watch or see the news in Los Angeles. Now, when a story happens, I try to watch all the affiliate markets and see what they're saying about the story because it's usually the same exact script. And that's how we could all look at the Sinclair Broadcasting Group scripts and say, look, they're all repeating the same exact thing. Because it's, of course, all scripted. The news itself is scripted. So thanks to Mark for sharing this with me. Legoland is offering Real IDs for kids. You might say, how is that possible? Kids don't need IDs. Well, it's a training method. They're training children to go and participate in a ride at Legoland, and then they're rewarded with their own version of a Real ID. This is Communism 101. They're training the children. The parents are too dumb to...
Man, this is crazy. We got to get out of here, man. Anyway, I mean, it was more...
If you get kicked off YouTube, you're not allowed back on. So, of course, that's one of the methods that they use. Now, if you go over, like I said, to their chair, people are putting themselves in this surveillance state. I think when we look back, even in the 90s, people were with their mindset was more like they're never going to get away with that type of thing. They're not going to roll down the streets, the government, and just start putting cameras up on every street corner. Well, that's not what they're doing. What the government has done is use propaganda and other tactics to scare the crap out of you and then convinced you that all this technology is for your benefit, but all this technology is so that you can imprison yourself.
And they can imprison you. So, I had that. We already know what that say. This is the book of Isaiah 31:3. Now the Egyptians are men. Who the modern day Egyptians? Esau, and not God, and their horse is flesh and not spirit. When the Lord shall stretch out his hand, Yahweh Shai, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down together, and they shall all fail together. So their horses, their power is flesh. It's only so far it can go. All right? It doesn't have control over the spirit. Okay? So when the Lord shall stretch out his hand, all right, Yahweh Shai and his angels, which Michael, is, as you can see, is mentioned, that represents it's time for war. It's time to take these devils down, man. Okay? Because when you read Second Esdras 13. Okay. In 33, it says 13 and 33, it says, and when all people shall hear his voice, the return of Yahweh Shai, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have against one another, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou saw them, willing to come and overcome him by fighting. But he shall stand up on the Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and be showed to all men, the deliverance of the elect, being prepared and builded, as thou saw the hill graven without image, all right, without hands. Okay. In this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of all those nations, which for in their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, man. So he's going to rebuke all these wicked inventions, man. Okay. This is madness. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahshai. All right. The elect are guaranteed victory over all of this madness. Okay. Because you have Revelation 13, 14. Then you have 15 where it says, in 2, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand upon the sea of glass, having the hearts of God. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of the Most High, and the song of the Lamb, saying, great and marvelous are thy works. Okay. Lord God Almighty, just and true are thy ways, thou King of the saints, because he's going to destroy all of this shit. Shit is madness. The great whore and the beast system is going to be defeated. The serpent is going to be defeated. The head of the serpent will be crushed. See? And boy, oh boy, man, I cannot wait for that day. But hopefully you will edify on to the next. Shalom.